Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, the nutrition detective, back for another Love Your Liver live stream. Now, this morning, as you may have noticed, I'm a little late getting started. We had some we're still trying to figure out this streaming stuff. Let me open up my chat window so I can see all you guys. Oh, wait. Well, hopefully the links on YouTube worked. We may have some issues with the links I put up. What we're going to go over today, first, check the microphone again. There, let me check. I swear, Joe, we're working on this streaming stuff. It changed the mic again back to whatever. This software. Man, changing stuff that I didn't change. Thanks for telling me. Anyway, so the better mic's on now. So that's good. Thank you for that, Joe. And then let me find the links. Let me find the testimonial I was going to go over today. Let me find that. Had a good testimonial, a great testimonial on the lactoferrin. I should have all this brought up, but like I said, this morning was a little hectic. Oh, come on now. Here we go. So we just got this testimonial this morning. Not going to say the person's name, but as far as I am aware, yes, we're going to keep this anonymous, as we always do. Hi. So again, testimonial on lactoferrin. If you don't know, lactoferrin is, well, people who have taken the different brands of lactoferrin on the market have said ours is the strongest, most potent stuff out there. It is from fresh milk. Now, I say that because the company specifically says that because they don't want to say a word that rhymes with caw about milk. You know that word that goes before milk where it sounds like the word caw? They say it's from fresh milk, from French cows. And it is spray dried, not heat dried, because heat damages lactoferrin, and they spray dry it. So they're spraying it up in the air so it dries that way rather than putting heat on it. So they put the minimal amount of heat on the fresh milk. And we get an isolated protein called lactoferrin. People then start saying, well, why don't you use colostrum? Colostrum has lactoferrin. And have you ever seen the color of colostrum? Especially after you freeze it, it turns yellow. What do you think that yellow is, folks? What are we trying to avoid here? Therefore, what is colostrum really, really high in? Well, some of that yellow is vitamin A. Some of it may be bile acids in the milk. I haven't looked up bile acids in the milk yet, but I'm going to bet they're there because the milk is made from the blood. So it makes sense. So anyway, why do we not use colostrum? Well, colostrum has all of the issues that normal milk does. It may have a lot of lactoferrin in it, but it's also got all of the issues in milk. If you don't know about vitamin A in milk, vitamin A is bound to the casein of milk, the casein, the whey in milk, and it's in the fat. We don't want vitamin A. Dairy is a vitamin A disaster. So we're getting the lactoferrin, which is about 60% the same as human lactoferrin. It's not exactly the same. It's similar enough that it causes absolute biological effects. This is why researchers call it the miracle molecule. And it's shown to help in all sorts of diseases. Well, here in toxic bile theory land, if lactoferrin helped with the bile ducts and the gut biome by affecting the toxic bile that's leaking into your system, then we see magical things happen all over. And then they start calling it the miracle molecule because it helps with all sorts of conditions. So let me read this testimonial. Here we go. Hi, I am glad that I finally started taking Nutrition Detective Lactoferrin, and I intend to continue. I followed the advice to proceed slowly. I'm on a side. there is a link on the instructions section of the Lactoferrin bottle to my website for you to read the instructions on how I tell people to start it slowly. This stuff is really potent. You will create more bile. If you are sick, you are likely leaking bile. If you create more bile and you're still leaking the same amount, you may actually leak more into your system and not feel as good. So this is why we do it slowly. So like I say, the instructions, the website is linked on the bottle because I can't put those instructions on that bottle. It's too much. Because I want you to take it and feel good. And if you're not ready for it, I want you to start slow so you don't make yourself feel worse faster than you need to. I take a lot of care and pride in doing things correctly, not just, I don't want people to just buy more Lactoferrin. I want them to buy it when they need it, and so it helps them. Okay, so anyway, that's that little aside. Here we go. I have had to think about my results a little because the changes I've noticed may not be due only to the Lactoferrin. I made another change or two at the same time. One was starting to peel my apples because I came to believe that the peel had become a problem that bothered my gut, perhaps due to the new coating called Apeel. A-P-E-E-L. Guess who makes that new coating that they're putting on apples and other things? That'd be Mr. Bill Gates. Even organic apples, on some of them, I think they're using it. So Mr. Bill Gates is a huge fan of vitamin A, if you didn't know that. Here we go. But the 3 things mentioned in your email below, this is the email newsletter we send out, do fit for me as well. I have had somewhat deeper sleep, more energy on some days, as in only needing a short nap or no nap when I used to need an hour. Improved bowel function, which is generally not a problem for me, but had been since I traveled to Europe in April. But I also think that my bowel health had been off all this year with some imbalance that caused discomfort as discussed below. To explain further, I started with using 1 capsule spread over 1 week. Okay, that's 1/7 a capsule a day. Just using a very small amount each day. The first 2 days, I put the grains in some water and drank before eating any food. Then I thought I would start taking it with food to see how that was. It seemed to me that either way was okay, and maybe it was better with food since it is also a sort of food. At first, within a few days, I felt that it was cleaning up something in my gut and also helping my liver. But as the week went on, I didn't always feel good. She's paying attention. She's listening to what I said in the instructions. However, I can't really attribute that to the Lactoferrin. Rather, it was likely the usual bile dump, probably due to eating too much fiber or fat on a particular day. So this person has been paying attention to all the stuff I talk about. I will say, though, that with the bowel health improvement, I am feeling better more of the time with less of the symptom I had been experiencing of descending colon discomfort with pain into my left hip. These symptoms have mainly occurred in the middle of the night, dissipating in morning after pooping. What do you get rid of when you poop? Bile. This is less frequent and bothersome now, so this also enables me to sleep better and deeper, and I have more dreams which I remember. As of Saturday, I have started my 2nd week and decided to increase the daily amount to using 1/4 a capsule per day. 1/4 of a capsule. However, today I accidentally put half the capsule into my potassium drink and I consumed that over several hours. It may have been too much as I didn't feel as good today, though still good energy-wise. Thank you for inviting me/us to share our experience, Dr. Smith. I look forward to continued use and continued improvement with your Lactoferrin. Okay. I won't say her name. Lactoferrin is a fairly amazing compound. So that, if you didn't know, the testimonial is over. Camel milk, for those of you who kind of have been following the fads in the health industry, camel milk was really popular for a while, and it was really popular among the autism community. Do you want to know what camels put more of in their milk than any other mammal? Guess. It's lactoferrin. They put more lactoferrin in their milk than any other mammal, and their lactoferrin is the closest to human milk out there. It's supposedly, I think, 90% similar. And you remember there was a colostrum fad. So there was a colostrum fad back in the day. That was probably back in like my teens and my 20s. Okay. The colostrum fad is still kind of around. People just can't figure it out, probably because a bunch of them react negatively to the vitamin A that's in it. Then there's the camel milk fad. And they sell raw camel milk dried into a powder. Why would they need to sell it raw? What would that be preserving? The lactoferrin. Now, camel milk is not cheap. Not at all. Oh, we've also done some research into camel milk, and it's extremely low in vitamin A. Weird, right? It's weird that all these coincidences keep happening around the things that I suggest you do more of and the things you do less of. Okay? So, lactoferrin, very interesting thing. Now, we're going to get into the topic of the day, which is we kind of have mixed studies, some good on fertility, especially on lactoferrin, and some not good on fertility, such as on copper. Now, I've been over, let me find my, let me share my screen. Let me do this. Let's go. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to go show you guys about vitamin A and fertility. I'm not going to cover vitamin A and fertility too much here. Let me find this. Let me see if this is it. Hopefully this is it. Yep, here we go. This thread, my Bill Gates thread. Let me see. Let me post this to everywhere in the chat. Bill Gates loves vitamin A. I go over in this thread how vitamin A absolutely crushes fertility. I'm not going to go over that again today. You want to go find this thread and read it. He wants, they had Kamala Harris mentioning population reduction. Bill Gates in his TED Talk mentioned reducing the population through things like, pokies and better health care. Do you know that birth control raises both copper and vitamin A in a woman's blood? And it's weird that those are making a woman infertile, and then they insert a copper IUD into a woman's cervix to make her infertile. I did not know this. I did not actually know the mechanism of a copper IUD. I mean, a copper IUD is poisoning the woman. Don't get me wrong. But how do they say it prevents fertility? It actually basically destroys the sperm. That's how they say it prevents fertility, is it destroys the sperm. So gentlemen, those of you out there force feeding yourself liver, because it's got lots of vitamin A and copper, you're creating a disaster. There's a study in Spain where they looked at men, and as men ate more organ meats. They said organ meats. They didn't break it down. They said as men ate more organ meats, all of their sperm characteristics went down. Guys and ladies, you want zinc. You don't want copper. Copper is a disaster. I don't care about the bioavailable thing. Don't even bring up the bioavailable thing. Bioavailability is it's not. It's toxic. Ceruloplasmin, no. Ceruloplasmin protects you from copper. That's why you want it high. That's why you don't want it low. Retinol binding protein protects you from vitamin A. You want that up with vitamin A in it if you've got that amount of vitamin A in your body. So let me find the other, let me go find these studies. Sorry, I have them on my phone. Like I said, I didn't have time to get everything off of, so let's go PubMed review, copper male reproduction. Let me see if we can find this. Review on copper in male reproduction and contraception. Let's find the best line here. (1850), the toxic effects of copper on spermatozoa, which was demonstrated in 1850 by quatrophages, has often been confirmed. Copper reduces the oxidative processes and glucose consumption, which reduces or abolishes mobility. I don't know if you know this, but a key thing for sperm to fertilize an egg is mobility. It has to move. That's how it gets to where it's supposed to go. This property is exploited in intrauterine devices. They just told you that IUDs, the copper stops the sperm from moving. Oh, I mean, I may go over this today. They were going over at the annual Naturopathic Medical Conference. They had several key presentations that I was not terribly interested in, but in one of them, they were trying to tell everybody which birth control to use, right? Because, well, the grand scheme of things is to make everybody infertile. So they want to make sure that you know exactly what pharmaceutical medicines to use to make yourself infertile. And now they're even pushing, there's a natural plant-derived birth control pill. So they can get the hippies really on board now. They want us sick, infertile, and dead early. And they've even infiltrated to a great depth the naturopathic community. This is I'm a black sheep everywhere I go, folks. I don't fit in anywhere. The use of copper for male contraception. Boys, men, they're going to do this to you too. Why do you think they have copper water pipes in houses? So they can put copper into everybody. At various sites within the male system. Lumen of the deferens, epididymis, seminal vesicle scrotum, and the motility of the sperm. Wait, this last line. The mobility of the spermatozoa was abolished in all cases. Wherever they put the copper, the sperm became basically immobile. Wait, this last line is very, very, very important. Tissue toxicity makes it impossible to use this method in human practice. Are you still seriously out there arguing for bioavailable copper and this revolution of copper nonsense? Copper is generally estrogenic. And if you didn't know, there seems to be a little bit of an issue with women having an estrogen imbalance, and men are just hyperestrogenic these days. Why do you think we push all this on everybody? Emily, one of the things we do with copper is we make sure people get enough zinc, and we make sure they get molybdenum, and we make sure they get selenium, and then as they are able to, they reduce it where they need to in their dietary choices. We're working on ways of figuring out how to get rid of copper faster because it's difficult. It may actually be harder to get copper out of the liver than vitamin A. So for those of you who got into high copper diets, this may be a huge problem that takes longer than vitamin A toxicity does to fix. So continuing, let me find the next paper. But just 1850. Remember, the Rockefellers had two papers in their journal. The Rockefeller Institute journal had two papers on toxic bile. 1905, 1906. They knew about the toxicity of copper to sperm in 1850. And now all of a sudden today, we've just kind of forgotten all about this. Let's push it now. they want, I mean, oh man, should I go into the cell study? We won't go into that with the vitamin A. They made pregnant mice. They gave pregnant mice vitamin A toxicity, and the male mice were born. They found when they did an autopsy, when they looked inside the testicular tissue, they found ovarian tissue inside the testicular tissue. Let me go find that. Just so somebody's going to say, well, how can you say that? Let me go in my profile because I just posted it today. Elon Musk has turned it into the X app, if you didn't notice. Wait, let's go into, wait, I want my profile. Where's my profile? Is this my profile? There we go. All the icons changed. Let me see. I just posted it today. Or was it a reply? It was a reply to somebody. Let me find it. Come on. Here it goes. Okay. These two links here in this part. Let me make this a little bigger. The link to the paper is right here. Vitamin A toxicity causing male mice babies to be born with ovarian tissue inside of their testicles. Now, let's just think of what's going on today. If there was a vitamin A toxicity epidemic going on, could we have an epidemic of people who phenotypically appear to be male on the outside, but yet they feel like a woman on the inside? Isn't this exactly what is physically going on in this paper? We won't go over the mercury part there. This is, why does Bill Gates love vitamin A? If you don't know about dualism in the bad people's goals for the world, you need to learn about dualism. Anyway, so let's go into, so there's that one. So vitamin A and copper toxicity always come together. What do birth control pills raise in the blood? Vitamin A and copper together. So let's go. Oh, well, I'm not going to go over this one. This is just another paper. I'll just read it. Effect of copper ion on the motility, viability, acrosome reaction, and fertilizing capacity of human spermatozoa in vitro. So this is a cell study, but they just said, here we go. We'll just take the last line of it. These effects suggest that the principal action of copper ions released from the copper IUD to act as a preconception contraceptive agent when delivered in endometrial and oviductal fluids. They're just stopping the sperm. They just break apart the sperm. Okay? So, we got, let me go through these. Here's another paper from 1987. We just need the title of this one. Where is it? Oh, I got to look on PubMed. Oh, here we'll just read this one line from this paper, right? High serum copper concentration, a well-known effect of oral contraceptive use, has been linked to increased mortality from cardiovascular disease. Why isn't this one I'm looking up coming up? That's practically the title. There we go. Just had to add the question mark, right? Just look at the title. Do I need to read much? Copper, a major contraceptive agent. Why do you think they want? Let me tell you two things about diet. Two of the extreme diets that one is being promoted today and the other one is being demonized. A vegan diet. Not only, so how do you protect yourself against copper? ceruloplasmin, GHK, these other peptides, protein-based molecules bind to copper to protect you. Okay. There's also retinol binding protein and cellular retinol binding cellular, it's CRABP. Yeah, cellular retinoic acid binding protein. These are proteins. So let's just say you're on an inadequate protein diet. Are you going to make the proteins that protect you against copper and protect you against vitamin A? No. Okay, so a vegan diet, pretty much guaranteed low protein, inadequate protein, unless you're eating all sorts of, I don't know, phytoestrogen soy, polyphenols. Do you know that phytoestrogens are polyphenols? You ever heard me talk bad about polyphenols? Polyphenols slow down your ALDH. They slow down your detox system. They slow down your production of bile. And we know that soy isoflavones are estrogenic as heck. Like when people talk about phytoestrogens, like there's a paper, I'm not going to go find it right now, but where soy's phytoestrogen activity was like 1,000 times higher than any other bean. So people who are like, beans are phytoestrogens, it's not even a comparison between soy and other beans. It's not even a comparison. It's like 1,000 times different. And what do they want you to eat? If you're going to be a vegetarian, you want to get enough protein, they're going to tell you to eat a ton of soy. It's still going to get them what they want. Vegan diets are extremely high in copper, no matter which way you slice it. And depending upon the color of the plant foods you eat, they may be extremely high in vitamin A. Bugs are also quite high in copper and iron and calcium. That's the other thing you get to eat lots of in their plan for you. What do you think they'll probably make really low? If you think of that 3D printed meat, what's probably going to be really low in that meat? Which mineral are they going to leave out? Zinc, which is the counteractor to copper. So then if you think, let me tell you about the other diets of people who come to me with the blood work I look at. So be wary. I'm not advocating the diet as I'm about to say it. The all muscle meat carnivore diet. All muscle meat carnivore diet. No eggs, no dairy, no liver, muscle meat. Like think steaks, ground beef, chicken breast, muscle meat. Things that made the animal move. Okay, those are called muscles. People say, well, what about heart? Technically, heart's a muscle, but if you look at a heart and it's got yellow fat all over it, it's got tons of vitamin A on it. The only people who come to me in the beginning with good zinc levels and where I want their copper levels, which is generally on the lower side, are all muscle meat carnivores. Those are the only people who come to me. Do I think an all muscle meat carnivore diet is a good long-term diet? No. The complete lack of soluble fiber means that the bifido populations are being completely destroyed. And when you have bifido, this is in the literature. Without any fiber, the bifidobacterium concentration in your guts get completely destroyed. Guaranteed. So then you guarantee a dysbiosis called a putrefactive dysbiosis, and that will eventually cause problems. Like, let's say, colon cancer, because you make too many secondary bile acids like lithocholic acid in your gut. And if you look up lithocholic acid and colon cancer, it's connected. So I'm not bad-mouthing an all muscle meat diet. I'm saying it needs something added to it. We have people who came to an all muscle meat diet and they simply have added psyllium. Some of them are working with me. They're adding some mineral supplements to fix it, and they are improving. If you are coming from a heavily plant-based diet, you're full of copper. And it's normal in the vegan community for the women to talk about losing their period entirely. Amenorrhea. It's totally normal. Why would that happen? Well, that's the biggest expression of infertility you can have, folks. The vegan delusionals will say that it's because they've become so pure, they are so detoxed, that now they don't even have to have their monthly cleansing cycle. That is the greatest fertility delusion I've ever heard. They can't get, they are so sick that their body has said, we can't waste the blood of a menstrual cycle, but we can't even get pregnant anymore. That's what a high copper, high vitamin A diet will get you. And a lack of protein. Besides, my buddy told me he went to some vegan parties with his vegan girlfriend, and he said the whole time everybody there was just farting. It was hilarious. So, Rena, I want to say your name right. Is it Renas or Renas? Renas sent a super chat, said, no questions, just think you're awesome. You're the only one who's figured this stuff out, and I'm super happy that I found you. I'm assuming it's Renas. I'm glad you're here, man. This is, I don't know what I'd be doing if I wasn't doing this. So thank you for the appreciation. I do appreciate that. So now let's find, just bonkers how, if we're looking at this paper, right, they'll try to keep making excuses for the copper not being toxic. That's what they do. They do the same thing about vitamin A. Let's see if this one has anything good in it. No, that's the same one we already went over. Review on copper and reproduction and contraception. Let's go to the next one. Come on, phone, you can do it. But what I'm going to tell you is when people get liver injuries, so people say, how do I get vitamin A toxicity? How do I get copper toxicity? When you damage the liver injury, aka cholestasis, aka toxic bile leaking into your blood, once you damage the liver, your detox system is slowed, not permanently slowed down. I didn't want to use that word. We can repair it. But you're leaking bile back into your bloodstream. This means that bile's not really getting detoxed. Some of it's going out through your kidneys, not a lot of it. Some of it's coming out through your skin. This is your skin problems, okay? But that means it's not coming out well. You want your bile to come out in your poop. And the more liver injury you get, the more it's going back into your bloodstream. This is also why people tend to not poop much, because you need the bile to poop. And this is why they get systemic symptoms from their toxic bile. Oh, here, this is another paper I got. So some of the things I work on a lot, one of the things I work on is selenium. So evidence, manifold, selenium, infertility. Let me just double check that I got this right. Okay. Wait, what was that last word? Infertility, yes. PubMed. Evidence for a manifold role of selenium in infertility. Just so you guys know, what is the definition of the word manifold? Many and varied, of many kinds, multiple. The role of selenium in male and female infertility. So what's the opposite? So I'm out here trying to fight against copper, right? Copper slows down your sperm, makes your sperm immobile. Let's go. Specifically, there are strong indications that selenium influences the growth, maturation, and replication of oocytes. Those are egg cells. Though the precise mechanisms have not as yet been fully elucidated. So they don't understand it. They don't understand the mechanisms. This is what I do here, folks. A lot of people come to me and they want mechanisms. They want mechanisms after mechanisms after mechanisms. I go, you don't need to know the mechanisms. What you need to know is what happens in the whole system first. And then later, 20 years later, the scientists may figure out the mechanisms. Do you want to wait for them? I mean, does your fertility want to wait? If you're a 20-year-old woman right now and you're like, well, I need to wait 20 years to see if the scientists come out with the mechanisms for selenium and fertility, do you want to? You're not going to be fertile anymore. Like Bill Gates loves vitamin A and the Weston Price organization loves vitamin A. And I can show you in all the research that Weston Price himself said that cod liver oil was bad. Injurious. That's in my other Twitter thread on cod liver oil. Okay. Let's see. Nevertheless, the existing evidence, despite being of limited quantity and somewhat low quality, suggests that selenium supplementation, less than 200 micrograms a day. Okay, the normal selenium supplement on the market is 200 micrograms. Okay. When was this paper done? 2020. I can tell you there's even more there's less selenium in even Brazil nuts today than there used to be. But anyway, so they're saying, I'm pretty sure they might have wanted to put less than or equal to 200 micrograms a day. But anyway, is possibly beneficial in men through its improvement of sperm motility. Well-designed randomized control studies are needed to reveal the seemingly diverse protective/positive role of selenium supplementation in men and women seeking fertility treatment. Selenium on hair tests is deficient everywhere. See, they even talk here about, given that it is not clear at present which tissue sample, blood, serum, seminal plasma, sperm, or follicular fluid renders the most accurate picture of selenium concentration in terms of its role in reproduction. I find it quite easy to manipulate selenium levels while observing a hair test. Notice they don't mention hair tests. Why are they all confused? Because if you use the wrong tool for the wrong job, your end product sucks. You don't try to use a screwdriver to hammer in a nail. You're using the wrong tool for the wrong job. Why can people badmouth hair analysis so much? Because many of the minerals on hair analysis are not useful. Many things on blood tests are not useful. Okay? Like, do you know that if they leave the tourniquet, the rubber tourniquet on your arm too long before they draw the blood for your test, that your potassium level on a blood test will go like way high? That's just one mistake they could make that could affect your blood test. But then they're going to have people with high potassium from their blood draw saying, well, you need less potassium. You obviously have too much potassium, or they start thinking that they have kidney problems. When it was just potassium on a blood test sucks. I will say this, though. If you ever get like a CMP, a comprehensive metabolic panel, and your serum potassium is low, you can be sure that you're either wasting potassium through things like vitamin D supplements or vitamin A toxicity or whatever, or you're just not getting enough potassium. That's the one thing you can say about a blood potassium level, is if it is low, your potassium intake sucks. But that's it. You could change your blood potassium the next day by simply eating more potassium, and then all your potassium levels are in range. That's the problem with serum mineral levels, is you can manipulate them drastically by what you ate that night. You don't get to see the long term. The hair test shows you over months. The blood tests show you basically over like half a day, maybe to 24 hours. So, okay. RTJ family, thank you for the super chat. Having trouble finding research on pork containing high vitamin A, like you said. It most likely has retinoic acid in it. Okay. And you were wondering, seems similar or less to beef from what I see. Asking because organic bacon and mom is an easy way to pack in calories and satiety. I am an undertype. Okay. We're going to go and see if we can. I'm going to see if I can't find this on, well, I'll just go and find it on my forum. I've already destroyed this in the phony vitamin A toxicity group on Facebook, the one that's not associated with me or Grant Genereux, the one that have said that my approach is dangerous, and the one that said they don't suggest Grant Genereux's approach either. That is the phony vitamin A toxicity Facebook on vitamin A toxicity group on Facebook. They advocate pork. They advocate eggs. They're now advocating eating kidneys that are full of toxic metals. They are lost. So don't follow them. But they actually tried to discount. Let's go over lard factor, pig fat. First of all, you got to wonder why so many people in the past have always been on, near starvation. So when people are near starvation, if you have these large groups saying, don't eat pigs and shellfish, they were almost always like close to starvation. Why would they take food sources away unless it was worth it? Lard factor is vitamin A. They found enough vitamin A activity before they even knew what vitamin A was, or they could isolate it from pig fat. They called it lard factor. What do we see in animals when they eat lard? Dietary high-fat lard intake induces thyroid dysfunction and abnormal thyroid morphology in rats. That's what pig fat does by itself. Not even talking about lard factor, not even talking about vitamin A. This is what we talk about, observing whole animals, whole people. The people who I see eating lots of bacon and lots of pork especially in the West, are never healthy. The impact of high-fat diets on physiological changes in euthyroid and thyroid-altered rats. Well, there were significant differences in the control group and the 25% lard group. Wonder why. Differential effects of a high-fat diet rich in lard oil or soybean oil on osteopontin expression and inflammation on adipose tissue in diet-induced obese rats. You want diabetes? Here's one way to get it. Obese rats continuously fed high-fat diet rich in lard oil exhibited the highest fasting serum insulin level and adipose tissue, OPN, and these other markers. How bad was lard? They're actually saying here, reducing the dietary fat or replacing lard oil with soybean oil. Can you grasp how bad pig fat is when they're saying that replacing it with soybean oil is better for you? Replacing it with soybean oil alleviated the obesity-related inflammation and insulin resistance. Soy oil. Maternal high-fat diet, well, let's just throw bacon in there while we're talking about it, induces obesity and adrenal and thyroid dysfunction in male rat offspring at weaning. Here's what I'm going to tell you, ladies who are pregnant or thinking of getting pregnant. The women here, and those of you, I know Hope will comment on this, but the women here who work with me, who follow what I'm suggesting, and absolutely pork is not part of this program. Their pregnancies are easier than they were before. They get pregnant when maybe they couldn't before. They had big problems before. And their children come out healthier than their other kids did. This just says when they feed moms lots of pig fat, the male babies come out adrenally dysfunctional and thyroid dysfunctional. Gosh, do you wonder why we have so many kids today who get fat so quick? Part of it's activity. Don't get me wrong. Part of it's screens, part of it's video games, part of it's never getting outside. Part of that comes from overprotective moms who don't want to let their kids go outside. But it's all of it together. It's nature and nurture. Okay? Increased adrenal, medullary, and thyroid dysfunction, higher adiposity, so the baby mice were fatter, hyperleptinemia, and hyperglycemia, high blood sugar, diabetes in the offspring. Now, what might be causing this? Let me just read these paper titles. An unknown factor with vitamin A activity distilled from lard. Relation of vitamin A and lard factor to disease caused by rancid lard. Studies in vitamin A, the vitamin A replacing effect of lard. Nature of the vitamin A-like factor in lard. Vitamin A activity of lard. Identification of the so-called lard factor as vitamin A. These were back in the 50s. Another term for retinol in the NIH PubChem Open Chemistry Database is lard factor. Pigs are filthy, disgusting animals, and you should not eat them. That's my statement. I would suggest you find something else to work on your calories rather than pig fat. Bacon's the worst. What do they push the most? Did you ever notice in recent times they push bacon and they push cheese and they push like just the highest fat stuff? Everything's fat. Oh, and then spicy. Capsaicin. Why do cops use pepper spray? It's not because it's anti-inflammatory, folks. They push in the mainstream all these things that are bad for you because they want you sick and infertile and dead early. And no, I don't care if it's a pasture-raised pig or not. I don't care. So that's that. Hope that helps. May not be what you want to hear, but that's my stance. So, and there's, like I said, there was even papers in there feeding pregnant mice and then having problems in their offspring. So I would get rid of the bacon immediately. If you want to do something like turkey bacon and then, I don't know, make some hummus. Make some turkey bacon and dip it in some hummus. And there you got calories and lots of protein and some bean fiber too. If you tolerate it. You may not tolerate it, then you got to find something else. But yes, pig contains significant vitamin A. I don't care what the counters on the website say. They only measure retinol. They don't measure retinaldehyde. They don't measure retinoic acid. They don't measure carotenoids in general. They don't measure the other forms other than retinol. We are being fooled. We are living in the times of the greatest deceptions. So, let's go back to the selenium paper. So let's just go selenium. Let's see if I can find this paper quick. Trying to see if they go inverse. I found stuff before on selenium and copper. I don't know if I'll be able to find it right now. But basically, selenium is a copper antagonist. Not a super strong one, but it is an antagonist. Yeah, probably not going to find it right now. We'll just look at this one. The relationship between copper, iron, and selenium levels in Alzheimer's disease. As I kind of saw in the abstract, patients with Alzheimer's disease studied present increase in biometal blood levels, especially of copper and iron. Gosh, what am I working on bringing down in people? Oh, copper and iron. Now I've shown a whole, here, let me show you if you want to go see it. Let's go to my forum. Let's go Alzheimer's. Go look at this thread of mine. This is where I go over vitamin A and Alzheimer's. So we now just saw. So I'm telling you that vitamin A raises copper and iron in your system. Vitamin A is a toxin itself. It raises copper and iron. This is a whole big article connecting vitamin A to Alzheimer's disease. And then as you just saw, wait. I'm on the wrong thing. There we go. Getting my windows confused. Got so many windows on here. I'm still not used to this secondary window. So let's see. Where was it say lower? I saw on here they said the selenium was lower. In CDR2 and CDR3, what were those? What's a type of clinical dementia rating? Clinical dementia rating. I'm guessing that as the number goes up, the clinical dementia gets worse. I'm not positive of this. I'm just making a guess based on what we see, right? So as the dementia got stronger, this is what I think is going on. In CDR2 and CDR3, elevated levels of copper and iron were observed. In CDR3 patients, the level of selenium was lower compared to that of healthy controls. Gosh, imagine me using selenium and trying to help people reduce copper and iron and vitamin A connected to Alzheimer's. What a weird coincidence. And selenium's linked to fertility, making the sperm more mobile. Copper apparently does the opposite. They're not telling you any of this. Now, if you go out and you try a selenium supplement, you may be sensitive to it and you may not feel good. You may need a lot less than the standard dose of 200 micrograms. On the other hand, 200 micrograms might not be enough to bring your levels up. How do you get to figure this out? Through testing. Somebody might try selenium and they don't feel good. I've had some people say their joints hurt on selenium, or they got some like little nerve tingling stuff. Okay, stop taking it. If you listen to your body and you say, well, that doesn't feel good, you stop taking it, it goes away. And then you figure out, what dose can I take? Can you actually find some Brazil nuts that have some selenium in them these days? I don't know. Why would they be taking selenium away from you in the food? Like the Brazil nuts, the one thing Brazil nuts had going for them, other than, they do have high oxalate levels, but the one thing they had going for them was lots of selenium. They don't have it anymore. Why would they be taking that away from people? Oh, I don't know. Helps with sperm motility, that's for sure. So let me look at the other links. I could go into zinc, but zinc and fertility is just like too easy to find. I mean, zinc helping fertility. Now, can you overdo selenium? Yes. Okay, I'm not going to deny that. You can overdo. See, the key thing here is you can overdo essential things. You could put too much gasoline in your car. You could put too much oil in your car. That doesn't mean your car doesn't need gas and oil to run. Can you drink enough water you can kill yourself? Yes. Do you need water to live? Yes. Okay, don't lose your brain in all of this. Okay. So when I'm about to go over this one, let's see. Deviation from the optimal quantities of dietary selenium, both above or below. Why do we test? We don't guess. Deviation from the optimal dietary quantities of selenium, both above and below. How could you know that you're above? Well, you could test, or you could watch for symptoms. And if you have a problem with either, then you reduce. This isn't that hard. May cause multiple abnormalities of spermatozoa and affect motility and fertility. Libido may also be increased by selenium. People have libido problems these days. Dietary selenium should be an optimal quantity to maintain reproductive function in males and to avoid infertility. I'm going to say it's probably true in women too, but what it's going to show up in men is that since ladies, their reproductive process is a bit more passive, like stuff just moves, like the egg just kind of migrates, but sperm has to be active. Like sperm, if it's not moving, nothing's happening. Like the egg doesn't move per se itself. If the sperm don't move, you're toast. Your species is toast. Okay? So let's see. What else do we have here? Let's go into magnesium. Another one that I work on. Magnesium in human semen, possible role in premature ejaculation. But they cover other things in here. Okay. Decreased levels of magnesium gives rise to vasoconstriction, bad blood flow, which could affect that would be systemic, okay? From increased thromboxane level, increased endothelial intracellular calcium. Wait, high calcium. Who constantly works on bringing down high calcium? Oh, that's me. What does vitamin A do in your system? Raises calcium. What do vitamin D supplements do in your system? Raise calcium. Where's the calcium coming from? When vitamin A raises your calcium in your blood and vitamin D raises your calcium in your blood, where does that calcium come from? Your bones. And then where does your body put it? Into your soft tissues. That's how all this works. And decreased nitric oxide. So wait, all these guys out there are taking arginine and citrulline and beets and all this stuff, but they're not addressing their magnesium. I don't know if you know this, but chronically trying to elevate your nitric oxide, I have a paper on it, with arginine causes liver injury. So you may have better blood flow out in your extremities, but you're damaging your liver at the same time. And that's the damage to the liver is going to win. Okay? So they say here, lack of magnesium may lead to premature emission and ejaculation processes. Magnesium is probably involved in semen transport. Oh, so if you don't have enough magnesium, the semen's not getting to where it needs to go. Is there a magnesium deficiency epidemic, everybody? Hopefully you've been in the health game long enough to know that a magnesium deficiency epidemic is everywhere. Well, I have another paper on premature ejaculation and magnesium. Oh, since we're talking about fertility and stuff here today, let's go into another issue for men. You don't have a Viagra deficiency or a Cialis deficiency, men. You don't have an arginine deficiency or a citrulline deficiency. You are toxic and you are deficient in various things. Now, erectile dysfunction in men, if you haven't understand it, it's not just about the guy can't go and have fun. This is like infertility in men. Do you understand how the scope of this, how important this is? Like, if men can't get it up, there's nothing happening. It doesn't matter if the egg is able to be fertilized. Okay, so this is a study, the impact of hypomagnesium on erectile dysfunction in elderly, non-diabetic, stage 3 and 4 chronic kidney disease patients, a prospective cross-sectional study. Remember, Grant Genereux, and he says he has lab proof from another gentleman now, fixed their chronic kidney disease with Grant's diet, which, like I said, that other Facebook group says that they can't recommend it because they've gone off the deep end. Anyway, fixing chronic kidney disease. Grant says his doctor said he was the first person he's ever seen recover from chronic kidney disease completely. Lab proven. What is most likely damaging these people's kidneys? It is the toxic bile that should go out in your poop, but you're leaking it. It's going into your bloodstream and it's going to your kidneys as the second of the detox order. Your poop, your bile going out your poop is number 1. That's where you want it to go. Kidneys are next. They're number 2. You don't want bile going to your kidneys. Skin is third. There's also, we talked about on the video you saw about the breath, the lungs. I'm pretty sure the lungs are just operating the whole time. And the more toxins you have, especially aldehydes being produced in your body, the more aldehydes come out through your lungs. The worse you breathe, the more the aldehydes don't get out of your lungs, and they just kind of sit there and marinate it and cause you lung problems. Remember, it's a poison on the way in, it's a poison on the way out. If it's toxic coming in, when you're getting rid of these toxins, they can cause damage on the way out. You can't deny that. And just because somebody says something's detoxing doesn't mean it's getting rid of anything. But so these people likely had too much bile. They have cholestasis, most likely. Well, I mean, I'm guaranteeing it. It's damaging their kidneys. So they have all the problems that we talk about here. Low magnesium. Do I deal with low mag? If you work with me, I'm going to be recommending topical magnesium to you. Guaranteed. How that ends up looking for each individual can be very different. Okay. What type, how much, when they put it on. There are some people who can't do it because they don't feel good when they do it. So what do? Driving philosophy. Doc, it hurts when I do this. Then don't do that. Well, if you don't feel good when you put on topical magnesium, there's very likely a potassium deficiency underneath it. And we got to work on that. So then you can do your topical magnesium, possibly. If not, we have other approaches. I can't go over all of them here. Anyway, our data support that erectile dysfunction is related to hypomagnesemia, low magnesium in the blood, in elderly patients with moderately to severely reduced kidney function. So super toxic elderly. So they're toxic is what I'm going to say. And they lack magnesium. Gosh, what are things that we work on here? I think that's all I have for today. In that, let's just do one just while we're here. Let's just bring this up, but I'm just going to read this right here. Zinc is a critical component in a number of conserved processes that regulate female germ cell growth, fertility, and pregnancy. Sounds pretty important, doesn't it? The role of zinc in male fertility. Here we describe the properties, roles, and cellular mechanisms of the action of zinc in spermatozoa, focusing on its involvement in sperm motility, capacitation, and acrosomal exocytosis. 3 functions that are critical for successful fertilization. Zinc is an essential element for male fertility. Copper is an antagonist to zinc. Copper is the biggest antagonist to zinc. I just showed you that copper makes people we saw that copper screws up sperm beyond repair, and they give women copper IUDs to make them infertile. And birth control pills raise vitamin A and copper in the blood. Are you seeing a pattern here? Veganism makes people high in copper. So that's why I'm not going to cover zinc. Like, it's not hard to find zinc connected to sperm and fertility. It's just not. I'm not going to go into molybdenum. There's not enough research on molybdenum to show it. And what's the one vitamin? What's the one big vitamin that they tell pregnant women to not eat too much of or take too much of? Because it'll cause birth defects. They don't tell them that it'll cause spontaneous miscarriage and hemorrhaging and all that stuff, but that's vitamin A. What do you got the Weston Price group going? Eat tons of vitamin A. And then they wonder why their kids are all full of allergies. Well, the research shows on allergies. If you didn't know, why do you not want to do tons of vitamin A in food or otherwise when you are pregnant? Because you can just look up these links, you know. I'm not going to go through this, but asthma and allergy in children, this is just, it's all just pointing at vitamin A. Look at these people giving cod liver oil. Oral supplementation with cod liver oil in childhood increase the odds of a history of having both asthma, and hay fever. The Weston Price people are all wondering why their kids are so damn allergic. And then they give them milk and raw dairy or whatever dairy they're giving them, and then they give them beef liver. You ever seen that disaster of a formula that Weston Price group recommends? It's like raw milk and shredded liver and egg yolk and cod liver oil. It's just like, and then they wonder why they're all allergic. Somebody show them this research, because they're doing it to themselves. And they have to have the GAPS program, because the GAPS is when everybody gets so allergic that they can hardly eat anything. But they still put in a ton of vitamin A, and they wonder why they just, all they get is a super restricted diet. They don't get better. Asthma increased according to maternal intake, motherly intake of total vitamin A in the highest compared with the lowest during pregnancy. Okay. Have fun with that. I think that's all I'm going to go over today. Got to get to some questions. Let me see. Were there any other super chats that came? Wow, 269. Is that an 8 or a 6? It's really small on my screen. Okay, Ramon. Let me just wait. Let me see. Can I separate out the super chats? I thought I could. Maybe I can't. I'm going to go up from the bottom. Y'all, thank you for all the chats. It's great that you guys are talking so much. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Make sure to, if you're on Facebook seeing this or Twitter, go to the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Also, what you can do if you're in the chat on YouTube, X out of the chat, go like this video. It helps it get spread more. Or if you're watching this later, make sure to like it and also leave a comment. Those of you who are here in the chat right now, you can do both. Oh, wait, I just saw this one. Moody Bug posted, my aunt, who is very smart, in quotes, according to social standards, said, quote, what we eat may have some effect on our health, end quote. Oh, even worse than that, Moody, is the gastroenterologists who say what you eat has no impact on your digestive problems. That, I don't know how those people can live with themselves, honestly. I really don't. I really don't. Let me scroll up, see if I can find any super chats. Man, this is a lot of chats. Really, this is great, guys. For those of you who are wondering about, let me just give you some of my, if you're wondering, like, gosh, what is the amount of zinc and selenium and maybe molybdenum that Dr. Smith thinks is safe to use? Okay. Well, you can go and look at the Keystone Minerals on my website. Keystone Minerals is so normally, let me preface this. Normally, I like to start people separately. They start selenium first. They try it out, see how that goes. Then if everything, whatever happens with that, whether it's okay or they need a lower dose or they can't take it or whatever, then they try molybdenum. They figure out their molybdenum, what works based on, if they're working with me, I give them guidelines. And then they work on zinc. This is the order that I introduce those minerals with people. Now, this is all in an article called The Order of Adding Stuff. It's a very technical name inside the Love Your Liver program, which is at members.nutritiondetective.com. So they try these separately. Now, if people are able to and tolerate well the amounts that are in the Keystone Minerals, then they can sub out the Keystone Minerals for some of the other mineral pills they're taking. So you can think of the Keystone Minerals as like a multi-mineral supplement that I use, which has my base doses in it that work for most people. I worked with the guy who wrote Dr. James Wilson. This is not Dr. Lawrence Wilson. I will never be associated with that name. Dr. James Wilson, he wrote the very first book on adrenal fatigue, and he taught me something very useful. He said, if you can make a supplement or a product that can help about 80% of the people, you've done something very, very good. And I do believe that the Keystone Minerals, just one a day is a base dose. I'm not recommending anybody take more than one a day unless they are working directly with me with testing or with Nathan. And they know that the amounts that are in that can be taken. So 1 pill a day is the maximum dose for people who are not testing. Not everybody can take 1 pill a day. Any one of those 3 could be too much for a person, or they might not tolerate it. I'm okay with that. Does that make the supplement bad? No, it means that that person can't take it. We all know that there might be a food that somebody's allergic to, that everybody's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So many people can eat it. It doesn't matter. That person can't react to it. That doesn't make the food bad. Okay. Like lactoferrin. I have to start people on really small doses, and some people can't even take it. Does that make lactoferrin bad? No. So anyway, 150 the dose I put into the Keystone Minerals of selenium is 150 micrograms. Funny that that's less than 200 micrograms like was in that other paper that we just talked about. There's 150 micrograms of molybdenum, and there's 30 milligrams of zinc. And the filler is magnesium malate. If you didn't know, you'll say, why is there a filler in there? Because, folks, you ask for fillers. Do you know how people ask for fillers and additives in their supplement pills? Is because if you got a supplement pill that was 90% empty air, you'd complain. This is what people do. People don't understand. Like, if you just wanted like 150 micrograms of molybdenum is like grains worth. If you got a molybdenum pill with that in there, you'd be like, why didn't I get the rest of my stuff? And they'd be like, no, that's what you wanted. That's what you bought. But then people would be pissed that their pills aren't full. So remember, anytime somebody's complaining that the pills are not, like, if no supplement companies will do this. They won't even let you not fill a capsule, because they know that everybody's going to send it back and say, my capsules aren't full. So the customers made it so that the capsules couldn't be full. So we had to find something as an additive to fill the capsule. So I chose magnesium malate because it is, of the oral magnesiums, it's the one that I've seen cause the fewest reactions and get along with the most people. Is the Keystone Minerals, this is very, very important. Is it a magnesium supplement? No, it's not enough magnesium to be a supplement. I've had people out there be like, I'm taking magnesium, I'm taking your Keystone Minerals. And I'm like, no, that's not, no. First of all, topical magnesium works 10 times as well as pills of magnesium, oral magnesium in general, in my opinion. That's an unscientific, my experience in practice opinion. Oral magnesium doesn't work very well to bring your levels up. And I could show you test after test after test after test. Topical magnesium raises levels. I just saw somebody on Twitter posting about topical magnesium, transdermal magnesium doesn't work. Here, look at this one paper. I was like, that's a lie. Anyway. So the Keystone Minerals is my basic foundational, long-term, safe dosing for most people. Not everybody. Once you understand that not everything works for everybody, and this is why we don't do that magic word, we don't do protocols here. Protocols are for people who don't think. Protocols are for people who can't understand concepts and principles, and they just say everybody needs to do the same thing because we don't want to troubleshoot. And then what happens if the protocol doesn't work for you? They just tell you, sorry. Or they say, keep taking it even though you feel like hot garbage. Don't do that. So, oh, no, so Joe, we already did that one. We already did that super chat. I'm just looking to see if there's any more super chats. Thank you all for the super chats. I really do appreciate it. I think we got them all so far. Did we get that one? No. There's Ramon. Okay, Ramon. I hate missing super chats. I think there was one I missed from a couple weeks past. Ugh. Okay, Ramon says, thank you for the super chat, Ramon. Today they took off the cast and put me in a boot for 6 months and said I won't be able to compete with Messi, but I will be able to walk okay. No surgery. Thank you. Awesome, Ramon. Okay, awesome. So let me give just a quick background on this. Ramon, I think, broke his 5th metatarsal pinky toe, I believe it was, right? Something about the pinky toe that he broke. And he was wondering what to do. They were recommending surgery. He went to one guy who recommended surgery. I said, and I say this about lots of things, it is worth your time and your money and your health to go get multiple opinions when you are going to conventional medicine. And there are reasons to do this. When you are going to conventional medicine with something chronic, like a long-term problem, or when they're saying, like, one guy's recommending surgery, go talk to other practitioners because you will get wildly different recommendations. Ramon didn't want to have surgery. I don't want anybody to have surgery if they don't need it. And yes, sometimes you need surgery. I told him to go get some other opinions. This is his update. So they took him off the cast and they put him on a boot. And now the practitioners he was talking to are saying he won't need surgery. Okay. Get 3 opinions. Don't just go and get a second opinion. Go get 3 opinions. Go get 4. Like, it is worth your time. I mean, think of 4 opinions might cost you, I don't know, $500 or $1,000, even $1,000. You might have, doctor visits cost a lot these days. How much does a surgery cost if you can avoid it? $10,000, $20,000? You can save a lot of money by getting more opinions. So don't be, as they say, buy nice, don't buy twice. That's a saying about, stuff you want to have around. Buy nice, don't buy twice. Well, buying nice with second opinions is getting lots of second opinions. And then you can decide which one you want to take. So Ramon did that. Ramon comes here and Ramon does the super chats and Ramon listens to what he's told. Good job, Ramon. I'm super happy to hear that. Okay. So I'm still going through here. Oh, did it kick me down to the bottom? Maybe this thing kicks me down to the bottom every time there's a new post. I don't know. It's hard to keep up. So there's Ramon. I just saw Ramon's super chat again. And there, oh man, I can't even get up to the top. So we got people commenting from Inner Circle and people from YouTube. And then I don't see too many Facebook comments here. But I can't reply to Facebook. When I reply, it doesn't show up on Facebook. There's the Renas. We did that one. Thank you, Renas, the RTJ family. Now, somebody mentioned that they were doing a copper IUD because they don't want to get pregnant again. Okay. We are all adults. You get to make exactly the decisions you want to make. And we all get to live with the consequences of the choices that we all make. Copper IUD, I'm going to put a copper IUD on the same level as I do in the Love Your Liver program as mercury fillings. It is putting copper into your system every day you have it in, just like mercury fillings are putting mercury into your system every day you have them in. Copper is a toxic metal. Mercury is a toxic metal. Every day you have these in, you are absorbing more of that into your system. When people come to me, when women come to me, the most common thing where women will be like, my health was never the same after I did this. My estimate is 80% of the time it's birth control. 80% of the time, birth control ruined women's lives. Birth control, I mean, funny thing is it's birth control. It really does work as birth control because it tends to make women lose their libido. And honestly, ladies, the biggest thing that is going to set you down the spiral of gaining weight and not being able to lose it is most likely going to be birth control. I've done a whole thread here. Why don't we go find that? This is my obesity and vitamin A thread. What does birth control do? Raises vitamin A in your blood. How's it doing that? Because it's causing liver injury, cholestasis, toxic bile leakage. Copper also causes liver injury, cholestasis, toxic bile leakage. How can a birth control pill that doesn't contain vitamin A or copper raise vitamin A or copper in your blood? Because it means that it's not going in your bile into your intestines. It's coming right in, it's leaking right into your blood. The more vitamin A you have in your blood, the more risk of obesity you have. Same thing with copper. Oh, didn't we already do that? Didn't we do serum copper obesity? PubMed. I think we've already done this. The association between serum copper and obesity and all-cause mortality. Serum copper was positively associated with fat deposition of whole body and regional parts and all-cause mortality. So you have something, you have a copper wire in your cervix that is causing you to absorb free copper all day long, and it is associated with gaining fat, both systemically and locally, and dying, and a risk of dying sooner. So I'm not here to judge. You don't want to have kids? Cool. But this is the reality. I'm not here to sugarcoat the reality. Like, you have something that is a toxic metal in your cervix. This is the reality. This is what to not. Let me go back to the basics. Health equals fertility. Fertility equals health. Other than like the rhythm methods or whatever, if people want to recommend other, you know what I mean by the rhythm method, where women are actually monitoring their mucus and the other stuff like that, and their temperature and all that stuff. Other than those methods where you're actually monitoring the natural process in an effort to avoid pregnancy, if you are taking something or having something in your body, if you're taking birth control pills, if you have a hormonal IUD, if you have a copper IUD, as you just saw with men, they said they couldn't even put copper in the male reproductive system because it absolutely just completely destroyed the sperm. If you are doing something chemically that makes you infertile, fertility is health. If you are damaging your fertility, you are damaging your health. That's it. That's it. So you may not have kids, but you will get sicker earlier in your life. That's just, I don't make the biochemistry, God does. And we are just here making choices. So that's the reality of that. I'm not judging you better or worse for whatever choice you make. That is just the reality. Still looking, I'm looking just to check and see if any super chats showed up. Oh, PCOS. So Emily said, I think copper contributes to PCOS in women too, at least in my experience. Well, all right, let me go find my Twitter thread on PCOS. Since we're talking fertility stuff today. Come on, where's my little search thing? There it is. This is if you're on Twitter. First of all, I have grown so tired of social media. Twitter's where I post stuff. Sometimes some of it makes it to Facebook and Instagram, but I really don't like Meta. They're just the worst. I don't think Elon Musk and Twitter is going to be much better, but this is, if you wanted to join Twitter just to follow me, I mean, go ahead. What was I looking up? Oh, PCOS. Here's a whole thread on PCOS. There's the link. What do we go through? I covered common patterns, vitamin A toxicity, copper toxicity, some of the most common mineral deficiencies, zinc, selenium, and magnesium. I cover vitamin A. I cover copper. Our research generally indicated circulating copper level in PCOS sufferers was significantly higher than normal controls. I talk about fertility and health here. This is not something new. Infertility. Fertility equals health. Infertility equals lack of health. Circulating zinc levels in women with PCOS were significantly lower than those in healthy controls. Selenium. A study that supplemented PCOS women with selenium found increased pregnancy rate, decreased hair loss and acne, decreased malondialdehyde. Those of you who have been here a long time know about malondialdehyde and how bad that is. Decreased DHEA and CRP. Those are good things for PCOS. Okay. In PCOS women, magnesium supplementation significantly improved physical functioning, energy and fatigue, emotional well-being, social functioning, general health, total quality of life. Okay, so those of you who have been here a long time, you see those patterns in what I talk about every week. These patterns of toxicities and deficiencies are what are causing your health problems. It can manifest differently in different people. There's the toxicity of the bile, the recipe of the bile, how much bile is leaking into your blood, what toxic things are in your bile leaking into your blood, causing all your symptoms, and what nutrients are not there to either protect you or to help you detox. So that's the PCOS. Let's see, we're still going down. Oh, Firestarter mentioned I've had to stop having almond and oat milk now too because of the parabens. So it's just coconut milk now. Well, just the thing to know about all those alternative milks that are in Tetra packs, those boxes, like the boxes that the almond milks come in and the chicken broth come in, those boxes that hold liquids. They're all putting aluminum into your whatever's in it is getting aluminum in it. I don't care if the companies say, ooh, there's a liner on it and it's not leaking in. I can see it on hair tests. I can see if you drink out of aluminum cans on a hair test. I can see if you drink out of those Tetra packs. I just got to ask you. I can see they're aluminum pans. It all shows up on a hair test. Key thing that I didn't used to talk about with aluminum is aluminum is extremely conductive. When we talk about trying to fix EMF sensitivity, the things I used to talk about mainly was copper, because copper is very conductive. It's very electric, that part of the electromagnetic. And then iron is the most magnetic mineral in your body. So if you have too much electric minerals in your body or too much magnetic minerals of your body, or funny thing, as we just went over, they go up together in Alzheimer's. They go up together on everybody. But then there's aluminum. Gosh, are they trying to get us with aluminum every way they can? For those of you who, let's say you've been drinking beer for a long time, have you noticed how they're moving everything into cans? Everybody used to make bottles, and now they're moving everything into aluminum cans. Gosh, is this like a planned thing to make everybody toxic with aluminum? Seems like it. This is all planned, folks. This is way bigger than you ever thought, and they're letting it happen. So for those of you who think there's a hero out there who's coming to save the day in the white hats and whatever, they're not coming. The day you become an adult is the day you realize that no one is coming to save you. I'm not even going to save you. I'm just going to tell you how to save yourself. That's a very key thing. Any practitioner or anybody out there who says they cure you, walk away. God does the curing. I teach people how to fish so that they can go fishing and catch their own fish. They can go catch their own health. I'm a guide. Oh, gosh. Kelsey posted here, I've had over a dozen green bowel movements in the 2 months. She's saying copper. No, it's not rusty copper. Yeah, the oxidized copper. She says she feels awesome after each. I finally figured out what it took to get me so copper loaded. Copper chlorophyllin. Okay, let's talk about chlorophyll. Oh my gosh, this is another big nonsense health industry thing. Okay, chlorophyll in plants has magnesium in the center. Chlorophyll in plants has magnesium in the center of the molecule. The chlorophyll they sell you in the health food stores. Let's just go look so you don't have to just believe me. Let's just go look on Amazon just because it'll be easy to find there. Oh, come on. I just want the website. Don't autofill it for me. Come on. This is how Amazon tracks you. That's what the extra long link is for. They're tracking everything that came before. Sodium, copper, chlorophyllin. This is not natural chlorophyll, folks. They're giving you copper. Now, this is interesting. Chlorophyll as sodium, copper, chlorophyllin from mulberry leaves. I don't know what they're doing to it, but natural chlorophyll comes with a magnesium in the center. Okay? This is just one. All of them are like this. So don't think you're going to buy one that's like natural chlorophyll that doesn't have. Where's the biggest brand? I'm trying to find the biggest brand. Don't take this disaster either. That's so full of vitamin A. Spirulina and chlorella are just absolutely full of vitamin A. Liquid chlorophyll. Let's just go look at this one. Oh, it's benevolent. Oh, isn't that a nice name? Sodium, copper, chlorophyll from mulberry leaf. They even put in some alcohol menthol for you. Menthol's an alcohol if you didn't know. Peppermint essential oil. Great. Okay. Don't take chlorophyll. If you are worried about body odor, I just put out a video on this channel a week ago about how to fix your body odor. Chlorophyll doesn't fix it. If it does, I don't know what it's doing, but it's poisoning you with copper at the same time. Okay. So let's keep going down here. Sorry, I went in the wrong order with the super chats, folks. It's just that this thing keeps resetting up to the top. Are there really this many chats? Okay, RTJ family said, understood on pork. Thank you for the answer. Still just a week into the Love Your Liver program for me. Just trying to find ways to feel satiated and get enough calories as an undertype. Have been trying local sourdough. So yes, good job. I wasn't, I'm never trying to be like mean or any of that stuff. I'm glad you appreciate what I'm trying to show you. Yeah, pork is, you have to think about it. When all those people started getting, the large religious groups started saying, don't eat pork and don't eat shellfish. It was all wild caught. And they were not dumping like industrial sludge and garbage and poisons into the ocean. So even before we had made the world so toxic with our human activities, they were still saying, don't eat this stuff. Don't eat it. Filter feeders. Shellfish are filter feeders. What animals do you think eats all the fish crap in the ocean? Filter feeders. Don't eat them. Don't eat shellfish. Don't eat pork. Esther is saying, I react to the lactose or something dairy in the lactoferrin. Esther, I'm going to say that there's no way you could know that. And I talk about lactoferrin causing reactions due to dumping too much bile all the time. It doesn't mean there's anything dairy in. And there are lots of people on the internet who specifically say they are intolerant or sensitive to dairy, and they take lactoferrin just fine, even from other countries from other companies other than mine. It's probably not a dairy reaction. It's probably toxic bile getting dumped. And that doesn't mean keep taking it. It means you need to get and this is what I say to anybody, you need to get less toxic before you take it. Lactoferrin is super duper potent. This is why I give I'm the only person in the field who gives people very specific instructions to take very low doses at the start. And some people, Esther, you wouldn't be the first. Some people can't even handle taking grains of the lactoferrin. This is not out of the ordinary. Lactoferrin is extremely potent. And one of the things that vitamin A does through damaging the neutrophils and through damaging epithelial cells, vitamin A toxicity will decrease the production of lactoferrin. That doesn't mean that we just shove a bunch in there. We test it out. We walk very slowly into it. So, but yeah, local sourdough would be great if you can get good stuff. RTJ family, that local sourdough would be a very good one. Okay, so let's take that one down. Firestarter says, I heard aspartame also causes dementia or neurotoxicity. One of the things that aspartame NutraSweet turns into is methanol, which then turns into formaldehyde. It's terrible. Artificial sweeteners. Look, here, I'm going to make it simple for you. Fruit, I'm okay with. Totally, especially low vitamin A fruit, I'm okay with. The more you're adding sugar in, I don't care the source, the more you're adding sweet things. It seems that the liver over time does not like sweet things. How do they cause cholestasis in some studies? They use sugar. They do high amounts of sugar in the diet. Get the idea out of your head that just because it's in a natural form, like it's in fruit, that it could never cause problems. Like fruitarians are disasters. Do they have all sorts of deficiencies in their diet too? Yes. Are they taking in a ton of fructose? Yes. Like some fruit, just think about this. Eat like, if you're going to eat fruit, if you choose to eat fruit, eat like a normal person's amount of fruit. You want to know how my good buddy of mine, almost died in the hospital of septic shock? He got on this weird diet where you would only eat the fruit or the thing that smelled good to you and tasted good to you that day. So he'd go and he'd like go to the store and he'd try, he'd kind of smell an orange and he'd smell a banana and he'd smell whatever other fruit. And then if, let's say, the oranges smelled good to him that day, he said there was days where he would eat 30 oranges and that was his diet for the day. Or other days he'd eat 25 bananas. He almost died eventually he got so sick he almost died of septic shock in the hospital. Like, don't eat stupid amounts of fruit. And I'm pretty sure you could look at your diet and figure out what stupid amounts of fruit are. This should not be that hard. I shouldn't have to say it's X number of apples or it's X number of bananas. Okay? So. Emily, I'm not worried about the amount of paprika in hot dogs. I wouldn't make hot dogs like a daily thing, but you're not going to find it. We all make concessions somewhere. Paprika is a nightshade. The less of it you eat, the better. But we all live in the real world too. It's getting hard enough to get foods these days without having to do all sorts of dancing around. His math says, I am a dude and will not eat tube meat. I understand it both from the serious perspective and from the joke perspective of that. Yes. So if you can get hot dogs without paprika in them, that would be great. But still, like the farmer's market beef hot dogs are like crazy expensive. I mean, processed meats, tube meats they're kind of by definition the lowest quality meat. So let's see, still going down here. Moody asked about Remag. I do not like that stuff. I do not trust it. There is bad vibes all over that stuff. I've seen several women. So I'm talking about Remag here. I have seen several women who get like a high off of it. Like there's hardly any magnesium in there. They get like a high off of it and they say if they don't take it, they feel really bad. That's a drug-like effect. I don't trust that stuff at all. I took it. It made me so angry. And I can use topical magnesium and I feel better. And I use Remag. I don't trust that stuff one bit. Absolutely not. And if you're already sitting there going, yeah, when I don't take it, I feel almost worse than I did before. That's a disaster. That's not okay. Whatever is in there, and people will say, oh, like I know on their website, they'll be like, what if you feel terrible when you take Remag? Oh, that's just detox. And I'm like, I'm kind of into detox, and magnesium doesn't cause detox symptoms. It can cause a potassium to magnesium imbalance symptoms. Epsom salts or magnesium sulfate, that can cause sulfur problems. Like there's reasons for all of it. But when I can use magnesium chloride topically and put 50 sprays on me and feel good and take a dropper full of Remag and it makes me so irritable, I was like, I have to stop this. I can't take this. This is horrible stuff. And then Julie, my office manager, my practice manager, she was having the exact opposite reaction. She's like, I take it and I'm so happy. And I'm like, this is a drug. This is something weird. I don't trust it. If it worked, like if I thought it was legit and people could just take a dropper or two or full of magnesium that way, I would do it. But I also watch for other reactions. That's like, why do people always ask me about Shilajit? And I'm like, I had enough people have negative reactions to that stuff that I don't trust it. I don't trust black goo coming out from between rocks. I'm sorry. And if it has all the minerals in it, it's got all the bad minerals in it too. So. No, Will. No. Don't trust that Remag, dude. Trusty Rusty wants good luck on his job interview. Maybe send a short prayer for you. Hey, Rusty. You're going to do great, man. Trusty Rusty's a big fan here. And he did a super chat for me in that test video Q&A where we were testing the Streamlabs stuff. And so, well, that was awesome. So let's see. Moody asked, do I believe in muscle testing? Not strength muscle testing. That's a long explanation, but I do not believe in tests where it's how strong the muscle is. I could show you one of the few things I learned from Quackwatch. And Quackwatch, right? They're lunatics. Bad people. But they explained on there with muscle testing how to get whenever you wanted to have a no answer, They explained how to do it. Do you want to know how they explained how to do a no answer? And you can do this on your friends. So you can see that this whole thing, all the guys in the mall who are like, oh, when you don't have my magical bracelet on, you're weak. And then when you do wear the magical, and you feel like you go weak. And when you do wear my magical bracelet, why do I say this? Because I got duped by this in a mall once. We all got duped at some point. I'm just better. I'm really fast at filtering out bullshit. So even though I may have fallen for it once, it's like, trick me once, shame on me. Trick me twice, shame on you, right? So yeah, I got duped by this stuff. So what you do, for those of you who know muscle testing, you're going to see that this whole thing can be a sham in like 2 seconds. So you hold your arm out, right? And you have somebody test it. They're pushing down on it, like the good old shoulder strength test, right? Now, what you do, this has to be imperceptible to get a no, to get an automatic no whenever you want it. What you do is, so you're pushing down on it and you just let it back up a little bit and then it'll go right back down. So this has to be quick. Like this is like a circus trick. Like this is like the snake oil salesman trick. Yeah, put me up. So it's like this imperceptible, you put your hand on it and they normally load up the tension, right? A little bit at the start, and you just let it up a little bit and then it goes right down. It absolutely works. If you're doing it where you're like boing and no, that's not it. That's not how they do it. You can do it with just the slightest. You push it down, you load up the tension, you just let it back up. People can't even see it if you do it right. It comes back up a little bit. The muscle activation just comes up and then you push it right down. Every time. You can do this to your friends and they'll be like, you'll say, I'll make your arm go weak every time. You can show them the strong and you can show them the weak. You could even do that. Like for those of you who know muscle testing, you could have them say their own name and get a strong test. And then you have them say like, I am somebody else. And then you get a weak test. So you can kind of set up your strong and weak tests like that. And then you do this, and you can even get them to go weak on their own name. I had 2 buddies in school who gave up on muscle testing because the person who's doing the testing absolutely pollutes the test. You have a circuit of 2 people. You can't remove one person from the circuit. You cannot take the biases or the influence of the tester out of the test. So it can affect things. And if people don't understand this, when they go in and they just think it's a pure test, even the Applied Kinesiology book, which is the book of the main muscle testing book, said that you shouldn't go on AK muscle testing by itself. You should use it to confirm actual testing, like blood testing, like hair testing. I do something called biofeedback, but I also tell people, like, if you're going to do, even listening to your own intuition, like if you take a pill and you don't feel good, I have this all the time. I look at people's blood zinc, it's low. I look at their hair zinc, it's low. And I say, we're going to try some zinc. Okay. And they try it and they're like, I don't feel good with this. And I'm like, okay, then I have them ramp it up slowly. If they're okay on certain doses, but they're not okay when they get up to a dose that's higher than that, then they go back to the dose that they're okay with. Did the test, but then I have some people who insist on making themselves feel like crap without telling me. And they're like, let's say you have somebody, like I have some couple women who can't take any zinc. I even had one woman who couldn't even eat red meat or chicken because there was too much zinc in there. As we got her less toxic, she's now able to start eating that stuff. But if she would have just taken zinc and kept forcing it, she wouldn't sleep a wink. So she doesn't take it. We detox her further. We get more of the toxicity out before she takes zinc, and then the zinc starts helping. But you get people who are low on the test, and I tell them, here's how you do the zinc, and you listen to your body, and if you can't take it, you don't take it. If a certain amount causes problems, take less where you don't have problems. Some people insist on looking at the test and going, the test said I need zinc, so I'm going to take it. And then they come back to me eventually and they're like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? You're not listening to your body. If you don't listen to your body, like, what are you going to listen to? Listen to your body over me or the tests. That's the only true feedback you're really going to get. So anyway, so think of lab testing as the map. Let's say you're here and you're trying to get here. So you know where you're starting and you know where you're trying to get. You could say, oh, I'm low in zinc right now where I'm at. I want to get higher in zinc. Okay. Now think about this. When you look at Google Maps, let's say, Google Maps might give you potentially 10 different routes you could use to get there. See where I'm going with this? There could be a high zinc dose route. There could be a no zinc dose route. I've had people where their zinc levels start coming up. They didn't have to take any supplements. They probably did have to get the copper and the vitamin A out of their diet, though. And there can be moderate zinc doses. Which one of those routes is going to be the best for you? I can take a lot of zinc. My ex-wife could hardly take like milligrams or she'd get insomnia. Now, I know my ex-wife is super vitamin A toxic and super copper toxic. And after all the time with me, she doesn't believe any of it. Roll my eyes so hard back into my head. What likely caused that? Well, probably 13 years of birth control use. So let's keep looking here. Oh, Ryan Egan. Okay. Daily, this is a question, yes. Daily orange stool with eating oats every morning. Okay. We will, if you're early on in the process, Ryan, for those of you who don't know, early on in the process is when you'll tend to see the biggest changes in your poop color. Okay. What are the colors of vitamin A? Yellow, orange, red. Those are the colors of vitamin A. Yellow plus red is orange, right? Orange is orange. I'm sure there's some bile acids that are also orange. Soluble fiber. What does soluble fiber do? Soluble fiber does trigger a so you're doing a couple things, Ryan. I'm assuming you're on the Love Your Liver program. We start putting less poisons in. This is the most important thing to starting the whole detox process. You need to stop intoxing before you start detoxing. Okay? Or think of it as you lower your poisons in, your body can increase the poisons out. But if you're taking in a bunch of poisons, your detox sucks. This is the normal, this is how it works. So people who are like, they're still eating tons of toxic plant stuff or tons of liver or whatever, and they're still eating it, but they're trying to detox, they may not get to the point where they're actually losing any toxic stuff out of their system. They might just be treading water. Or if you've always got mercury fillings in your mouth, or if you got copper water pipes, or if you got mold in your house and your toxin intake is just too high, you can't get rid of toxins. And when you try to detox, you'll feel worse. So be very careful with this. So when you stop taking in the poisons, your body starts dumping them into the bile. This is normal. So less vitamin A in, maybe some less copper in your diet, maybe better protein, maybe more of the things we're talking about here: zinc, selenium, molybdenum, magnesium, potassium, these things. Okay, so you're able to start dumping more poison into your bile. Soluble fiber will create a bile dump. Soluble fiber does cause you to dump bile. So you're dumping bile. It's got more stuff in it. A soluble fiber soaks up bile and holds it, so when you poop it out, it's there. So this is the combination of things that leads to you seeing your poop, which is the bile in your poop is what's causing the change of color. We have not tested this, but some people theorize that it is oxidized copper in the poop that is the main thing that makes the poop green. We haven't tested it. I'm not against that theory, We just don't see it. So think about it. If you had bluish from copper, and you had yellowish from vitamin A or bile, as we all know from grade school, right? Yellow plus blue makes green. Then we get green in the poop. Now, over time, you will likely see this effect fade some or go away. You may have periods of orange poop and then periods of green poop. Sometimes you may even see periods of yellowish poop. And I'm not talking about tan. Tan poop means your bile's not getting into your intestines. We don't want that. But yellowish or orangish or even red. There was a day when I was on the vitamin A detox, and the only thing available for dinner where I was pasta with meat sauce. So it was marinara sauce. And I ate it. Didn't sleep well. The next morning, I'm pooping red. Like not blood red. Like I was not bleeding, but I was just pooping red. My body just got rid of that. It just did not even want to. There was so much it didn't even try to absorb it. So, yes, your poop color changing is a sign that you are getting rid of stuff. Yes. So, I got to get going. Let me just make sure I didn't see any new super chats. Oh, $2 from Will for optimal health. Be sure to pee poo poo. Yes. Peeing and pooping is super duper important. I tend to use the word, sometimes I try to be a little more professional and say bowel movements, but I just tend to say pooping, because if we're going to talk about it, if we can make it slightly humorous, why not, right? I don't have to always call it like stool. You just call it poop, right? I mean, okay, from Ryan Egan, higher anxiety / discomfort with magnesium spray. This is please, okay, no more super chats. Oh gosh, we got another Renas. Okay. No more super chats, please. Please. If I miss them now, that's because I'm asking you guys. I'm going to get through the ones that are there. I'm asking you now, no more super chats today. I got to get to my inner circle. Okay? So, if you don't know what the inner circle is, it's inside the Love Your Liver network, the Nutrition Detective network. It's a video Q&A that I do after this. It's going to be another 2 hours. So just so you know how well my brain's working, I'm going to be doing live Q&A for like 4 hours straight. I do this every week. Last week it was 5 hours because the inner circle lasted 3 hours because I was on a tear. Anyway, that's $50 a month inside the Nutrition Detective network, where you can ask as many questions as you want. And I get to be a little more controversial in my answers than I am here. So Ryan says higher anxiety / discomfort with magnesium spray. Troubleshooting magnesium oil spray or topical magnesium in general. If you have discomfort from the spray, first of all, don't spray it on relatively recently shaved areas. That's just going to be a disaster. This is just like the duh part. This is the early. I want to make sure people don't miss this, especially you ladies, shaving your armpits, shaving your legs. Topical magnesium on those areas the day you shave, maybe even a little bit the day after, can feel pretty bad. It can feel really bad. So don't do that. You're putting salt, a mineral salt, on a recently shaved area. This doesn't feel good. Now, the next thing you can do, you could mix into the magnesium spray, you could mix some magnesium gel. Magnesium gel is a disaster, generally. Magnesium gel that they sell out there, it's the worst product in terms of discomfort I've ever used. Some people might get along with it. Otherwise, it's a disaster. So what I meant, you could put some aloe vera gel into your spray. This could help relieve it. Right after you put the spray on, you could put some regular lotion on top of it. So you put the spray on, you rub it on, and then you put lotion on. You will, if you do it right after it, the stinging won't come. Okay? Some people said coconut oil on top of it. Coconut oil, if you did not know, the reason why coconut oil is not in a lot of like facial skin products and other stuff like that is coconut oil really clogs up the pores. It's very comedogenic. So I'm not a huge fan of coconut oil, but you could try putting some other type of oil on top of it if you wanted to do that. Naturally refined oils would be the preference there. You could get magnesium oil. Magnesium lotion. Magnesium lotion. Like I said, hopefully we'll figure out this formulation. We're waiting on I got another sample of my magnesium lotion, which is hopefully this is the last formulation. I'm a pretty picky guy. I think this is the 15th formulation now. I want it to be just right and have the ingredient list be as close to what I would love to be perfect as it can be. But making cosmetic products these days is... Anyway, we're making sure it doesn't grow anything. We're making sure that stuff doesn't grow in it. So that's why it takes a little while with each batch. Anyway, so you could use a magnesium lotion. There are some of them out there. When ours comes out, ours will be the highest potency by far per teaspoon of lotion, and ours will have some of our lactoferrin in it. Ours is going to be awesome. It's not out yet, though. Don't bug Julie about it. She doesn't know when it's going to be out. I don't know when it's going to be out. If I don't know when it's going to be out, Julie doesn't know when it's going to be out. So don't ask Julie, okay? Don't email Julie. Those are the things you can do from the skin discomfort of magnesium. Oh, the other thing you could do, you could dilute the spray. You could just add water to it and make it less concentrated. Or you could put less sprays on each area. Right? It's a dose-dependent response. The more you put on one area, the more you're going to react to it. So if you want less reaction in an area, do less on each area. And then different areas of your body will have different sensitivities to the magnesium oil spray. So you may just have to test areas. Like, not a lot of people will say, oh, my feet are burning from the magnesium oil. The magnesium oil seems to work great on feet. So the feet don't seem to be real sensitive to it. That's just an example. But like if you constantly shave your armpits, for those who do, that area might be really sensitive to it. So just pay attention to the different areas. Maybe try just one spray on an area. And just so you know, what I usually recommend, you spray it into your hand and then rub it on. Why do I say this? Because if you spray it all over you, you're going to have lots of what's called overspray, or the spray that doesn't stick to your body and goes to the floor. Magnesium chloride in water, there's a reason they call it magnesium oil. Super slick. You can slip on it really easily. So you don't want overspray. Like, just so you know how I do it, I take this pretty seriously. I keep my magnesium. Well, I have Mag-Ca-Hol, which is my own little creation. It's a mixture of magnesium chloride and potassium chloride and water and some actual clear liquor. There's Mag-A-Hol out on the internet. I improved it to Mag-Ca-Hol, so there's magnesium and potassium in it. But anyway, I stand over the kitchen sink, get my spray it into my hand over the sink, so any overspray goes into the sink and not on the floor. Rub it into both hands first so I don't drip, and then I rub it on the areas. Okay? Now, anxiety. Okay, I talked about this earlier. Topical magnesium. Magnesium chloride, if you put it on and you get anxiety or palpitations or whatever, it likely means that you have a potassium deficiency that is not being addressed. What depletes potassium? Oh, copper toxicity, vitamin D supplements, vitamin A toxicity, and then you may just have a copper deficient or a potassium deficient diet for what you need. So you work on those things. You could even try the Mag-Ca-Hol, which is inside the Love Your Liver network. For those of you who are searching on the network, Mag-Ka-Hol, Mag-Ca-Hol. The Ka is the potassium. Okay? Kalium, as it's in Latin, I believe. So those are the big things to work on in terms of those issues. But typically, if you react negatively to magnesium chloride, the first thing, this is not the only thing we can fix, but the first thing we work on is potassium deficiency. Okay. Renas says, regarding the keystone minerals, I've been taking it for a week now and I feel much better mentally. Do you think that's due to the selenium or the molybdenum? I'm most likely deficient in both. Well, I don't know. If so, here's like an example of which one could it be. Let's say you ran the testing with me, Renas, and we looked and we saw we could kind of look at proportionally which one of those minerals is the most deficient in you. We could look at zinc, we could look at selenium, we could look at molybdenum and see which one of them is the most deficient. Oh, yeah. So sorry, there it is. This is our product. Joe put that up. Yeah, if you want to just click on the label there, Joe, the back label, the supplement facts. You make it a little bigger. So I know the magnesium's at the top, but you see magnesium 30 milligrams in a pill is not any big amount. 30 milligrams of zinc, 150 of selenium, 150 of molybdenum. So Renas, your question is like when you're asking which one is it? I don't know. There's no way for me to know. Does it really matter? You're thinking better. What is one of the things that we've been talking about today that zinc antagonizes, that selenium antagonizes, that molybdenum antagonizes? They all antagonize copper. Now, you need zinc to make retinol binding protein and to help get copper out of your... so, I'm sorry, zinc is needed to protect you from vitamin A and to help get vitamin A out of your liver. Selenium and molybdenum are necessary to run aldehyde dehydrogenase, ALDH. One of the detox processes of vitamin A is ALDH. In the research, you might see it as RALDH in some studies. Retinol, retinol aldehyde dehydrogenase. So you need selenium and molybdenum and zinc to both help protect you and get rid of vitamin A. You need selenium and zinc and molybdenum to help protect you from and get rid of copper. Can vitamin A and copper, as I just showed you with the Alzheimer's stuff, can vitamin A and copper mess with the brain in terms of long-term, we're talking Alzheimer's? Yeah, absolutely. So I can't tell you which one is helping your brain. This is why when people want the very specific mechanisms and what does it's all together. So this is why it's really when people don't do the testing and they're just trying to like throw stuff in, or like Renas, like you did, you just took the Keystone Minerals. I don't know what did it because you started it all at once. Had you done, let's say you added the selenium and you figured out your best dose on that, and then you added the molybdenum and you figured out your best dose on that, and then you added the zinc and you figured out your best dose on that. If one of those minerals was the main thing behind your mental improvements, you would know. But if you just take it all at once, you don't get to know. It's great that you feel better. That's the whole goal, right? But we just don't get to know from which one it is. But like I said, they all act on vitamin A toxicity. They all act on copper toxicity. So, I see Will said Ryan has 2 super chats. Did I miss? Oh, no, I saw that one. I think I already got to the one from Ryan from before. Ryan, if you're still here, if you saw that, and so Ramon got the second opinion. See, Ramon listens. I saw the Renas one. I keep scrolling down. Joe, if you find the other Ryan Egan one, there it is. Okay, no, I did the daily orange stool with the eating oats. Okay, remember, no more. Oh gosh, what is this one? Yeah, I scroll through the same chats again. I swear it's like Groundhog Day. I'll be scrolling down and I'll see the Renas chat, right? And then I'll keep scrolling down and then I'll see the Renas chat again. It must just reset me when I'm scrolling. Okay, Ramon, another super chat. No more super chats, please. I'm trying to get through these. He says, I know you're not a fan of avocados, but what's your take on their fiber? When I eat 1 to 2 in a day, I keep all of their fats and mineral. Is that fiber enough? The vast majority of fiber in most plant foods is insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber has its uses. It does adsorb some stuff. It does feed certain probiotics, different ones than soluble fiber. But so let's just go look. Let's go over here. Let's go soluble, insoluble fiber, avocado. Now, avocados have a lot of fiber in them. Okay, so here we go. Just over 60% of the fiber in a California avocado is insoluble. Florida avocados are even higher in insoluble fiber. It accounts for 80% of the fruit's total content. So, there is soluble fiber in it. Here's the thing about avocados. The real avocados themselves contain carotenoids, a decent amount, vitamin A. Okay, they do contain some soluble fiber. They do contain they contain a significant amount of fiber. But Joe, can you go to my screen, my shared screen? Or here it is. Okay. This is what you want to pay attention to. Avocado consumption enhances human postprandial, that's after the meal, provitamin A, that's carotenoids, absorption, and conversion from a novel high beta carotene tomato sauce and from carrots. So, you are absorbing, when you eat avocado, any fat in general, but they're specifically studying avocado. It contains vitamin A, it increases your absorption of carotenoids, and it increases the conversion into retinol. Is there fiber in it? Sure. Is it worth it? I don't know. So let's look. Consumption of lipid-rich avocado enhanced the absorption of beta-carotene from study 1 by 2.5 times. In study 2, the absorption of beta-carotene and alpha-carotene increased by 6.6 times and 4.8 times, respectively. Most notably, consumption of avocado enhanced the efficiency of conversion to vitamin A, they mean retinol, as measured by retinol esters. This is what you store in your liver. You bind fatty acids to retinol by 4.6 times in study 1 and 12.6 times in study 2. Avocado seems to be magic for absorbing more vitamin A and storing more vitamin A. Can't say that I endorse it. If you were going to do an avocado a day, I would say, let me put it this way. 1 avocado a day would be a hell of a lot better than 2. Also, if you're going to so these are the real life things that people have to consider. If somebody's going to say, look, I'm going to eat avocado anyway, I'll be like, well, don't eat it with high vitamin A foods, right? Because this just shows that you're going to absorb a ton more and store a ton more. If we're working on this anyway, you shouldn't be eating a lot of high vitamin A foods. But I mean, I just want you to think about typical American Mexican food. You got tomatoes everywhere. Peppers, if you didn't know, peppers are super high in vitamin A. Red peppers, all that. Then you put in dairy, you put in the cheese, and you put in all that stuff. And they put in pork. And they put in spicy, peppers, spicy peppers. It's a freaking disaster. And this is the reality of what I observe. I live in Arizona. We have a huge Mexican population. If you look at that population, the rates of obesity in the Mexican population has to be higher than the average. I can't imagine it's not. We could look it up. If somebody wants to go look it up, they can. I'm not going to do it here, but that food combination, when I show you that vitamin A is really connected to that, go and throw guacamole on it. Just that list I did, and then you throw guacamole on top of it. Disaster. There's a reason why everybody's so sick and fat. And for those of you who are undertypes, you're underweight. That's like, I've talked about this. Are there people who are underweight? Yes. The research shows that they actually have higher risk of death. People who are chronically underweight than overweight people. Chronically, there's not just one type of person in the world. We have to account for all of it. Okay. Yes, Pierre, I know. Inner circle time. Let me just make sure there's no more super chats, that people listened and they didn't sneak them in. Remember, I'll be here every week, folks. Tip your server, all that stuff. Christo 1992 posted, he said, I remember Matt Stone did a post saying, why are Central Americans so fat? Why don't we, I can't not leave. Okay. Let's see if we can find this. I don't want Spanish population. Oh, here we go. So I'm not lying and not making stuff up, and I'm not being racist. The prevalence of obesity among Hispanic American populations is generally greater than that among white populations in the United States. Among Mexican Americans, the prevalence of obesity was higher than among either Cuban Americans or Puerto Ricans. It is well known that the prevalence of diabetes increases with increasing levels of obesity or body mass index. However, it does not appear that the high prevalence of obesity in Mexican Americans completely accounts for the higher prevalence of diabetes seen in this ethnic group. Here, let me make sure you know about my Twitter thread on diabetes and vitamin A. Here's the Twitter thread on diabetes and vitamin A. Oh, and we already did in another live stream, we went over the connection between copper toxicity and obesity. Didn't we already? We just did a link in that today. Like it's all there, folks. It's right smacking us in the face. Have you ever noticed how like avocados and guacamole was a big trend now? The craziest, I want you to think about, like my son is like, I like, when he has a burger, right? Let's say he goes somewhere, he has a burger, he has a hamburger on a bun. Love this kid. I love my son. He gets a hamburger on a bun. He doesn't want a bunch of stuff on it. And he's like, why do people put all this crap on their hamburgers? And then I was like telling him, like, they're putting on ways of getting fat and vitamin A and all sorts. I mean, think of what people put on burgers, right? There's like mayo, which is just fat spread. And they put on ketchup, which is just childish, but don't eat ketchup. It's for children. It's sugary tomato sauce. It's cheese. Anyway, vitamin A. And they put on cheese, which is fat and vitamin A. And they put on bacon, which is fat and vitamin A. And they put on, the fried egg, and they put on fat and vitamin A. Like, I mean, it's like everybody wonders why just like, seriously, you can stand at if you go to Starbucks, you can stand next to the register and listen to what people order, and you could correlate their order with like how much sugar and how much dairy's in it with their weight. If that's their normal order, you could pretty much look at their order and guess their weight if all you heard was their order. There's a reason for all of this, folks. So anyway, that is that. Okay, so I gotta get to the inner circle. I will see you all next week. Hope you enjoyed it. My website, nutritiondetective.com. If you want to find the Love Your Liver program, that's at members.nutritiondetective.com. Otherwise, all my social media links are down in the information below. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, all this fun stuff. Anyway, have a great week. Bye now.